All right, welcome back to the PodCase Podcast, where we answer your questions about personal injury cases. I am your host, Rusty Messer with Big River Trial Attorneys in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Maria, what user question are we answering today?
Today, Rusty, we're answering basically how medical bills get paid after a car accident.
Maria, this is something that I've been asked several times. So there are a few options. The first option, if you had it, you want to use your own health insurance. That's why you have health insurance. That's why you paid for it. And that's what it's there for. So sometimes people will come to me and they're like, well, I was in a wreck. Should I use my health insurance or should I wait and make a claim? You should definitely use your own health insurance. And you should always start off by seeing your general practitioner or your primary care provider if you have one, because this person knows your medical condition is in a good position to make the right recommendations for your treatment. Unfortunately, not everybody has health insurance. So if you don't have health insurance, there are a few other options. One of the options is known as MedPay. If your auto insurance has MedPay, and it's an extra coverage that you have to buy, but if you do, it will pay a certain amount of damages, no questions asked. It doesn't matter who is at fault, it'll just pay. In some states, something called PIP, personal injury protection, is more common. It's less common in Louisiana, but it's pretty common in some other states. And PIP is something kind of like MedPay, where it's something you buy on your own insurance that will pay your medical expenses if you're in an accident, regardless of who is at fault for causing it. Now, ideally, the other driver's insurance is going to pay for your medical expenses, right? If that driver's negligence caused the accident, you want that driver to pay your medical bills. And ultimately, they may, but even if they do, it's going to happen either when the case settles or when the case goes to trial. It's going to take a while. So that can be pretty discomforting when you're going to the doctor now and the doctor wants to get paid today, or the chiropractor or the physical therapist or whoever, they want to get paid today, and you have money coming from this other driver's insurance. A year from now, it can be a problem. But ultimately, the other driver's insurance should pay. If you don't have health insurance, if you're not able to pay out, your attorney may be able to help you. Most injury attorneys have good relationships with certain medical providers that they can refer their clients to, who will agree to maybe get paid once the case settles, or maybe take a partial payment now and wait to collect the rest later. So your attorney may be able to put you in touch with a provider that can maybe treat you today, but wait to get paid at a later date. Your attorney might be able to help negotiate down some of your medical bills. Like, let's say you're going to see your provider, or you go to a hospital and they send you back this enormous bill, where your injury attorney might be able to help you get that bill lowered. And there are certain situations when your attorney can actually advance you expenses. Your attorney can't just give you money just because you were in a wreck, but in Louisiana, the term is called necessitous circumstances. It means you really need it, and it covers things like paying your medical bills, maybe paying your rent, keeping the lights on, things like that. So that's another way that some of your medical bills might be able to get paid.
Another question, Rusty, that usually clients ask us is like, what if I pay something out of pocket?
So that's a great question. You want to make sure to save all of your receipts, because these are all things that you can include in your claim to the other driver. And it's things that a lot of times people tend to overlook. So you may go to the doctor, or you may go to the pharmacist, and let's say you pay, $30 or $40 copay for your prescription. You go to the doctor and you pay a $50 copay to see your doctor. That is completely recoverable as long as the other driver caused the accident and they have insurance. That is a claim that you can put against their insurance. But you need to document that claim to get the money back.
Hey, Rusty, one more question. Could you please explain what MedPay is and what does it cover?
All right, Maria, that's a very good question. People often ask what MedPay is and what it covers. So MedPay is an additional coverage that you have to buy on your insurance. It will cover a certain amount of medical expenses with no questions asked. Sometimes it's $5, $10, maybe even up to $15,000, depending on the coverage that you purchased. But in order to get that, you have to collect your medical bills and you have to submit them to your insurance company. Then the insurance company will send you a check directly for the amount of those medical expenses.
Does every policy include MedPay?
No, MedPay is an additional coverage that you have to buy. It's sort of like uninsured motorist coverage. If you don't specifically select it and pay a little bit extra for it, then you probably do not have it. But it is something that we recommend everyone get because it would kick in. Let's say if you were in an accident and you were at fault, and let's say your spouse or your children were with you, or you were injured, your MedPay would still pay out regardless of who was at fault. In summary, if you've been in an accident, your medical bills can be paid by your own insurance, which is a great way to go. If you don't have health insurance and you did happen to get MedPay, or you live in a state that provides personal injury protection, you should definitely use that insurance. That is what it is there for. If the other driver was at fault and they had insurance, that is who is ultimately responsible and who should pay in the end, but it's going to take a while to make that happen. And in certain cases, your attorney may be able to help.
And Rusty, one last thing. If you have to give 3 tips for clients and people hearing us, what would they be towards their medical bills and their claim?
The first tip that I would say is go to the doctor soon after the crash. Once someone gets into a wreck and your adrenaline's going and maybe you feel okay right there, I don't need to go get checked out. But a couple of days later, they really feel like they got hit by a truck or a bus, right? So don't wait to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor as soon as you can and get checked out. Even if you feel fine, you want to know. And that's also going to help make the best evidence for your case. So the first thing I would recommend is go to the doctor right away. The second thing I would recommend is to make sure when you're at the doctor that the doctor knows you were in an accident. You would be surprised at how often people go to the doctor and forget to tell their doctor that, yeah, I was feeling fine until I was in this wreck. They might go in and say, oh, well, my shoulder hurts or my back hurts, but don't give the doctor the information about why their back hurts. That needs to be documented and it needs to be in your medical records. Because one day, if an adjuster is making a decision as to whether or not they're going to pay your claim, they're going to want to see that some medical provider put a relationship between the accident and your injuries. So make sure that you tell your doctor about the accident and make sure you save all of those medical records, copies of your bills, because that will all be evidence to be used in your case.
Thank you, Rusty. 3 useful tips from Big River Triad attorney Rusty Messer for everybody.
Thank you, Maria. All right. Y'all tune in next time. Bring your questions. We love talking about this stuff. We love helping clients answer their questions with injury cases. And if you have a specific question, make sure to email us or contact us in the chat.